As a constitutional law attorney, Jenna Ellis believes in the rule of law and the importance of integrity in our elections. And she's ready to tackle the big cultural and legal issues facing America. This is the Jenna Ellis Show. Here is your host, Jenna Ellis.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Jenna Ellis Show. I'm Jenna Ellis, and the next GOP debate, the third one, is tonight. So we wanted to have a preview with Vivek Ramaswamy's campaign and also a Ron DeSantis supporter. What do these two campaigns and these two candidates need to do to pull ahead of the perceived frontrunner, Donald Trump? And what do we think about the election last night and the potential repudiation of the MAGA movement and Trump's endorsement? There is a ton to discuss. What will happen on the debate stage tonight? Well, we're going to talk with Stefan Mychajliw and also John Cardillo right after this. With inflation, the banking world collapse, and everything that Joe Biden is doing not to protect America, you need to make sure to secure your financial health, especially in retirement. And hey, if you're a millennial like me, that actually is sooner than you think. You need to start now, even if you are a millennial or a Gen Zer, to make sure that your financial health is actually healthy when we get to retirement. And Legacy Precious Metals has a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in gold and silver online in real time. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped right to your door. You'll have access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar, and this puts you in complete control of your money. The platform is free to sign up for. Visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and against a volatile stock market. A truly diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but different asset classes. This brand new platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Visit legacypm.com to get started. You can download the free investor's guide, and you can also call Legacy PM Investments to talk to a portfolio expert to get expert answers to your to customize your personal portfolio. So visit legacypminvestments.com to get started. Tell them that Jenna sent you. All right, so to talk all things debate and also the election last night and more and the future of the GOP, is Vivek Ramaswamy's Deputy Communications Director, Stefan Mychajliw, and also conservative commentator, former New York Police Department, NYPD, and also a DeSantis supporter, my good friend, John Cardillo. So gentlemen, thanks so much for joining me. And let's go with something first that I think both of you will agree on, because I'm sure there's going to be plenty that you don't. Last night in the election, obviously the Trump pick for governor of Kentucky, Daniel Cameron, didn't win. And this is going around social media because Trump had said previously that, wow, Daniel Cameron of Kentucky has made a huge surge now that they see my strong endorsement and the fact he's not really a quote unquote McConnell guy. They only try to label him that because he comes from the great state of Kentucky. Anyway, go Daniel, great future for you and your state. You will bring it to new levels of success and I will help you. Then today, after the inevitable loss of Daniel Cameron, Donald Trump Truth Socialed this. Daniel Cameron lost because he couldn't alleviate the stench of Mitch McConnell. I told him early that's a big burden to overcome. McConnell and Romney are kryptonite for Republican candidates. No mention of Ronna Romney McDaniel there, by the way. I moved him up 25 points, but the McConnell relationship was, quote, too much to bear. Tate Reeves, on the other hand, surged to win for governor in Mississippi after my involvement. Congratulations to Tate. So a lot of people are pointing out the hypocrisy here. John, we'll start with you, your reaction to this in the election last night.
Look, the only reason we're losing is because Donald Trump sent Susie Wiles to Dana Point, California to whip votes to keep Ronna Romney, in capital letters, McDaniel in power. Ronna McDaniel has no interest in winning. She is not a wartime chairwoman. She has every interest in losing and continuing her grift because she has nowhere to go. And she can raise a lot more money in opposition than she can as a winner. I saw a great tweet this morning. I'll paraphrase a couple of words of it. Basically, it was, if Donald Trump really wanted to end Ron DeSantis' political career, he would endorse him. Because if you look at the midterms and if you look at this race in Kentucky, the Trump endorsement is death for these candidates. Donald Trump is not resonating. He's not going to win Georgia. Forget the trial in Georgia. He's not going to win Georgia because it's already been proven that his endorsements and his handpicked candidates there can't win. Same in Pennsylvania. Same in Arizona. I mean, we're going down this ridiculous path, leading ourselves into an ambush. The mainstream media is gleefully helping this along, if not leading it, by putting out these preposterous polls that show Trump 50 points ahead. And look, once Team Trump and the Trump surrogates started to prop up Vivek, he started dropping like a stone. The Trump endorsement, the Trump surrogate endorsement is the kiss of death.
Stefan, your response.
Well, first of all, before we talk politics, John, don't hold it against me, but I live in the People's Republic of New York. And I just want to thank you for your time in law enforcement. I think the one thing that drives all of us conservatives crazy when you see like Black Lives Matter and Antifa talking about defunding the police, especially in New York, it's outrageous. So we certainly
crazy. Sure. Thank you for that. My condolences that you still have to be there.
Yeah, every time I see my tax bill, I'm ready to set myself on fire. But, you know, when it comes to Vivek Ramaswamy, he says all the time, he's not running against Donald Trump, that the America First agenda does not belong to Donald Trump. And it, quite frankly, doesn't belong to Vivek. It belongs to the American people. And that's why Vivek Ramaswamy is crystal clear on his campaign that he is running to keep us out of World War III, to put America first, and to basically build on the foundation that Donald Trump laid in 2016, and that he's not running to be Donald Trump's vice president. Vivek Ramaswamy is running to be president of the United States right now in 2024. And look, there's a lot of runway left when it comes to the Iowa caucus, the New Hampshire primary. I mean, I'm a former news anchor, television news anchor, and there's always a flavor of the month with every candidate. And it's going to go through cycles of pretty much everybody. But if you look at history, and if you go to 2012, Rick Santorum was at 5% in the polls 3 weeks before the Iowa caucuses, and he won. In 2016, Ben Carson was the flavor of the month at this point in time, was leading everybody in the polls. And of course, Ted Cruz won the Iowa caucus in 2016. So from our perspective, there's a whole lot of runway left. And Vivek is going to talk about his platform of bombing cartels, securing the border, declaring independence from China, and keeping America out of World War III. That's his vision, and certainly not about national races or endorsements or things of that nature.
Well, let me say this, though. I mean, what Vivek is notorious for is stealing other people's ideas. I mean, Ron DeSantis was the one talking about bombing the cartels and sending in special operators a year ago. And I know that because I was sitting with him in a forum in a closed door meeting when that topic came up, and then he went public with it a couple of days later. So Vivek has look. Here's what I'll give Vivek, right? I'm not, everybody's got pluses and negatives. Great salesman. The guy can sell it, as evidenced by how he was able to sell investors on less than, let's call it fruitful deals in many cases. But the guy can sell it. He's charismatic. He's young. But let's be realistic here. He is not a viable candidate, especially with the Kim Reynolds endorsement of DeSantis. Iowa is now a two-horse race, right? It's Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. I don't think any political scientist or political strategist would dispute that. So I have a question for you, Stefan. Would Vivek take a cabinet position in a Trump administration? And if he's not running with Trump, and if you don't believe Trump owns America first, will he say, or will you say as his spokesman right here and right now, that he would absolutely not serve in a cabinet position in a Trump administration, and that's not why he's running? Because many of us feel that's why he's running.
Vivek says all the time, he's very consistent from the beginning of the campaign. And I was at the campaign from the very launch in February in New Hampshire when we conducted polling, and Vivek was literally at hash mark 0.0%. And now he's on the third debate stage, and a former vice president of the United States has dropped out. And, I appreciate the fact that he's a successful business owner. Yeah, look at pharmaceuticals. Vivek actually developed 5 FDA approved drugs. One of them actually saves the lives of 2- and 3-year-old children who previously had died from a horrific genetic disease. Those children now live, thank God, because of Vivek Ramaswamy and the treatments he developed. I'm a father of 4. And if I were a father of a child who was saved by those treatments that Vivek had developed, I'd be eternally grateful. It helps improve the lives of cancer patients. And then from a financial perspective, he took on, ESG and is living the arc of the American dream. Vivek Ramaswamy is running for president of the United States in 2024. It's the only job he's running for is president. And look, you mentioned Donald Trump and others. Vivek is the only outsider and business owner in the race right now that's a political outsider. That's it. You can only be an outsider once. And, President Trump was that outsider in 2016. I had done extensive surrogate work for the former president in 2016, but you can only be an outsider once. And that outsider is Vivek Ramaswamy. And I just think the American people favor a business owner and political outsider rather than a politician. And I think that person's going to be Vivek Ramaswamy. He's consistent and he's crystal clear on that. Living the
Stefan, do you want to answer the question of whether he would accept a position in a Trump administration or not?
It's never even come up with Vivek Ramaswamy. And again, I spend a massive amount of time with him, whether it's at Columbus campaign headquarters or traveling on the road with Vivek. That has never, ever come up in conversation.
Vivek and Trump, let me ask you this. Vivek and Trump have never had a conversation about Vivek being a Trump surrogate. And let me just say this. Vivek did not develop those drugs. He was on the finance side. Let's give credit to the doctors that did it. And a few of his pharmaceutical plays were dubious at best. So to paint him as a life-saving Jonas Salk-esque pioneer of medicine and medical research, that's disingenuous. He did not do that. I work in private equity these days. We do biomed deals. I would never take credit for any scientific advancement made by a portfolio company. And those are the things about Vivek that irk me. He takes credit for the work of others. He uses the ideas of others. And I've been in this game a long time, Jenna has. And Stefan, you've been in the game. I mean, I don't know you, you don't know me, but you're a news anchor. You followed politics. You're clearly a sharp guy. It is unfathomable and just simply not credible that there were not meetings between Team Vivek and Team Trump early on, because the way the MAGA people, some of the most vicious surrogates on the planet, propped up Vivek until he was useless to them, until he fell way behind DeSantis. Then they went after him and attacked him, and now they're on the RFK Jr. It is just not fathomable that there was not cooperation and coordination between the Ramaswamy and the Trump camps. I will never believe that until the day I die.
Well, let's also talk about what are some of the negatives about the DeSantis campaign as well, because a lot of people have said that the endorsement of Kim Reynolds really matters. But then Sarah Sanders now came out today and is endorsing Donald Trump. And I think it's fascinating to see how some of the surrogates who have lauded Kim Reynolds and said that changes the ground game in Iowa, which I think that it does, have said that governors' endorsements matter, but then are surprisingly saying that Sarah Sanders' endorsement doesn't matter. And I think that there's kind of some of that hypocrisy going on in terms of everybody amplifying polls that support their candidates or endorsements that support their candidates and other things that don't. In terms of what DeSantis really needs to do tonight on the debate stage to kind of get off the launching pad more than just in Iowa, John, what does he need to accomplish tonight?
All right, so let's go to your first point. If you look at this mathematically, I think it's a push with Kim Reynolds and Sarah Sanders. And I like Sarah, and I expected Sarah to endorse Trump. And she's popular. And I say it's a push because both states are going to send 40 delegates to the convention, Iowa and Arkansas. Where I give the edge to Kim Reynolds is that her influence, because of the caucus process in Iowa and the nature of Iowa politics and her popularity, they're not to say Sarah's not popular in Arkansas. She certainly is. Very, very likable person. I just think that's the more significant endorsement in the short term. But again, long term, it's a push. Both are bringing 40 delegates to the convention. If DeSantis, depending on how this goes, DeSantis will pick up Iowa's and Trump can pick up Arkansas. So no real earth-shattering developments there. I think DeSantis needs a couple of knockout punchlines. He needs those memorable lines, which we have not seen from the past debates. He needs those memorable lines that people take away. You know, the I knew Jack Kennedy, you're no Jack Kennedy, those types of lines that even 30, 40, 50 years later, people are going to remember. And it's all going to be dependent on whether or not these NBC moderators give any of these candidates time. See, here's where I think Stefan and I will agree. I don't think they're going to play fair ball with Ron or Vivek. I think they're going to give most of the time to Nikki and Tim Scott because they appeal to the center-left faction of the Republican Party, who the NBC viewer will gravitate towards. So I want to see DeSantis with some knockout punches. I don't know if the moderators will give him the opportunity to do that.
Well, and Stefan, speaking about Nikki Haley, a lot of the sentiment on social media and certainly among the base that was that Vivek actually won the last two debates, and I think he is an excellent communicator on stage. My audience knows that I personally donated to the campaign just to see him get on the debate stage because I think that we need the next generation of millennials. I've known Vivek personally for a number of years, and so I'm glad to see him on that stage. But a lot of the mainstream media is trying to frame the debate tonight as between Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley, which is interesting because everybody really knows that this is coming down to kind of the two front runners, which right now are Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. So what does Vivek have to do tonight to edge that out and to not have that be the narrative that it was just between DeSantis and Haley?
Well, first of all, I disagree that there's any front runner, in that race, and that includes all of the candidates, whether one candidate is there or is not. Again, there's a ton of runway between now and the Iowa caucus for multiple candidates, including Vivek Ramaswamy, to break free from the field. And John and I do agree. Look, I was a former news anchor before I served for 9 years as the Erie County Comptroller and the taxpayer watchdog as an elected politician. The media is not going to be fair in any way, shape, or form. And I think they're going to try and have a discussion on things that people don't care about.
I agree.
And you mentioned Nikki Haley. And look, I will come to the defense of the candidate that John supports. I think it's outrageous that she's talking and making attacks of Ron DeSantis about footwear and things of that nature. Nobody cares. It's absolutely outrageous and appalling that Nikki Haley would even bring that up. Because look, let's look at Nikki Haley's record. She made $8 million off the war machine. She proudly flew the Chinese flag in South Carolina. Nikki Haley wants to drive the United States of America to war. And why? Because she wants to line her own pockets. She wants to get filthy rich off of sending American men and women off to war to fight and to die so she can make her family wealthy. In the same way that we have a corrupt Biden family in the White House, there's going to be another corrupt Haley family who wants to send America to war for the sole purpose of getting rich. So when it comes to the third debate tonight, Vivek Ramaswamy is going to be crystal clear. Keep America out of World War III. Let Israel have an Israel first policy. And if they want to stick the heads of 100 Hamas terrorists on a stake to show the world they mean business, fine. That's up to Israel to do, and Vivek would support it if they so choose to do that. But you're going to see a very crystal clear debate between a career politician like a Nikki Haley, who wants, the blood of American soldiers to spill to make money for her family, or a candidate like Vivek Ramaswamy, who will do everything in his power to avoid a world war and to secure the border and focus on America first. Keep illegals out of our country, bomb cartels, curb inflation. That's what people care about. And I think that's what we can have this very blunt and truthful discussion, that's what people in America care about. They're struggling to put gas in their cars, food on their table. They don't give a damn about political attacks from Nikki Haley or surrogates or things of that nature. They just want whoever the candidate's going to be. And obviously, I support Vivek Ramaswamy. I'm the deputy comms director for the campaign. They just want to know, how are you going to improve America and keep us out of World War III? And that's going to be the main points in the debate tonight.
Well, and I think a lot of people want to know, will we actually win, and can Republicans win when we've had this losing streak over the last several elections? And there is now calls on social media, and I'm one of them, that's saying that Ronna Romney McDaniel needs to step down as GOP chair. And so I think that a lot of what people want to know tonight as well is that, can conservatives win? And this was another interesting tweet I wanted to get both of your comments on, because both of the candidates that you support, Ron DeSantis and Vivek Ramaswamy, are both running on what they have both characterized as an America First agenda, but separate from MAGA. And so Midas Touch, who I am no fan of, but is big in the leftist community, tweeted this: last night, of course, was a complete and total repudiation of Trump and MAGA. Make no mistake, MAGA is synonymous with loser, and Republicans can continue to hitch their wagons to the loser MAGA movement at their own peril. How much do you think that it hurts either Vivek or DeSantis to be saying, they're the next iteration of Donald Trump versus that total repudiation? And Stefan, we'll start with you.
Look, America cannot afford 4 more years of Joe Biden and the corrupt Joe Biden family. I mean, look at their record. Again, they are lining their pockets and they're getting filthy rich off of public service, which is, quite frankly, appalling to a business owner and political outsider like Vivek Ramaswamy, who says all the time, and we're confident he's going to be the nominee, that you're going to see a 1980 type landslide again if Vivek Ramaswamy, and again, we're confident that he will be the nominee against Joe Biden. Again, you go back when I was a candidate for political office, and again, I was successful. I served 3 terms as the Erie County Comptroller. When I would go door to door and talk to voters in their homes or coffee shops, they just wanted to know, what are you going to do to make my life better? How are you going to improve our community? And I think at the end of the day, people just don't care about the politics of things. Again, surrogates and political tax. They just want to know, how are you going to make our country better? And right now, the big concern is keeping us out of World War III. And that's why I think on the debate stage, you're going to see a very distinct difference with Vivek Ramaswamy and other career politicians, that he's going to put America first. And I think the most important thing is to keep us out of World War III. Vivek's been incredibly successful in the private sector. He's not running for the paycheck. He's running, putting service over self. And he's not going to send American sons and daughters overseas to fight someone else's war so that he can line his pockets the way Nikki Haley wants to when it comes to starting a war and jumping into a war to basically become filthy rich. It's appalling. It's wrong. And that's going to be a huge difference you're going to see on this debate stage.
John?
Well, look, we don't know what Vivek will do, because he was perfectly happy lining his pockets when COVID was big money by supporting those policies. He wasn't all about ESG and eradicating ESG and DEI back then. But where you and I will agree, Stefana, 100% until the end of time, is that, yeah, Nikki Haley is a neocon warmonger and a profiteer. And you're 100% right. She would send 18-year-old Americans to be killed in combat while her family flies private. Absolutely would. She's making 6 to 7 figures a pop to speak. And those groups like Raytheon, she complained, right? Because somebody said, I think it was Buck Sexton or one of the other radio hosts, and Nikki Haley blew a gasket. She had said something about taking action on something. And to paraphrase, they said, is Raytheon going to allow that? And her team went ballistic, right? So they know. They've got a real sensitive sore spot about this. They know. But I will say this, Jenna, I don't think Ron DeSantis is ever going to be pigeonholed as the next iteration of Donald Trump, because Trump's attacks have pretty much ensured that's not going to happen. That's going to affect Vivek much more than it is DeSantis. DeSantis has also been very clear in the last couple of weeks, hitting Trump, positioning himself as the antidote to all of Trump's problems, his drama, his 3 a.m. crazy rants at the sky. And so I think if that syndrome is going to affect any candidate, it's going to be Ramaswamy over DeSantis, and due in large part to Donald Trump's constant, daily attacks on DeSantis and his wife. We all probably agree that Ronna McDaniel is the worst thing that ever happened to the GOP. She is the absolute worst chair I've ever seen. Maybe Michael Steele was a little more spineless, or as spineless, but she is just has created, I should say, a culture of losing like I have never seen in this party. And now she's completely dependent on Donald Trump because he kept her in power. She's going to give him whatever he wants, and he's going to be our boat anchor going down. I completely disagree that Vivek Ramaswamy would ever win in a Reagan-Mondale-esque 84 landslide. But I can tell you this: if they swap out Biden for somebody like Gavin Newsom and Trump as the nominee, Trump may very well lose in that Mondale-esque landslide loss.
Well, and getting real quickly, though, to your point about the RNC, Vivek Ramaswamy pulled no punches. He talks about the truth being the backbone of his campaign. And look, we have a bone to pick with Chris Christie in the way he's running his campaign and how he's running a campaign of vengeance and grievance. But Vivek Ramaswamy believes that we should have more speech and more debate. And we had actually had a debate scheduled with Chris Christie on Fox. And we're literally flying on the plane to D.C. to have it on Fox News. When the RNC calls back and says, wait a minute, if you do that debate, Vivek, you're not going to be on the third debate stage. I think is just absolutely preposterous. We need more debate. I mean, look at the foundation of our country, the Lincoln Douglas debates. More debates are a good thing. And so Vivek has taken the RNC to task over that we should have more debates.
Look, I agree with you on that one. I thought it was reprehensible that they killed that one-on-one. I mean, look, there was crossfire between Vivek and Christie in the last debates, and I would have thought that would have been entertaining and it would have been informative. But again, it goes to my point. Trump controls Ronna, and she will sink with him because they're not going to swim. She's going to sink with him, and she's going to sink the party. And I'll tell you guys something else. This Democratic Party is the most radical we've ever seen. This is not an American Democratic Party. These people will never give up power if we give it to them again. They will never give up power. They will fundamentally change this nation for the worse. And let me tell you something. There's nowhere to go. I travel many places in the world on business. The United States falls. There's nowhere to go.
And I want to continue on that, John, because this is where we agree 100%. I remember, God bless my mother's soul. She died 10 years ago, and she's voted Democrat every year since then. God bless her. But when I first ran for office as a Republican, she was a hardcore Catholic Democrat. I mean, she literally came up to me, guys, right before my election. She goes, I don't know if I can vote for you. I've never voted for a Republican before. I'm like, if my mother's not voting for me, I'm in trouble. But she was a conservative Kennedy Democrat who wasn't like the radical progressive Democrats, the squad. And again, this is where we really have very strong agreements when it comes to direction of our country, that the squad and the puppet masters who are controlling Joe Biden, because let's face it, Joe Biden is not the president of the United States. There is a deep state and puppet masters in the establishment state and in the political insiders who are pulling all of the strings of Joe Biden, and they are leading our country over a cliff. And we are at a precipice and a very dangerous portion of our country where these folks hate America. They hate our country. They hate our conservative values. They despise it, and shame on them for showing their true colors, because at least now we know who they are. It's not the Democratic Party, that my mom was in. Again, a Kennedy pro-life Democrat that she was. God bless her soul when she was around.
And speaking of pro-life, I mean, I couldn't agree more that we have to win. And it is the Democrats that are the extremists, even though they're trying to paint all of the conservatives like Speaker Mike Johnson, who is simply a great conservative, biblically based Christian, who is a good father, and who was a religious liberty advocate as an attorney for his career. Now you have all of these national headlines that are trying to paint him as some kind of extremist simply for being a good father. It is absolutely disgusting. And now what we're seeing as well in Ohio with issue 1, you and I, Stefan, talked about this a little bit on my radio show earlier this morning, but this is, I think, a bigger cultural issue when we're seeing that pro-life advocacy in the wake of the overturning of Roe versus Wade just simply was not prepared to take on state by state. So if this question comes up, and I think that it should tonight, because abortion has been a really, really big topic between Democrats and Republicans, how should Vivek and how should Ron DeSantis answer questions asking, should you maybe temper your pro-life position because this may be a losing issue for Republicans? John, to you first, what should Ron DeSantis say tonight?
I think there's only one place to go, right? You got it. The point has to be put it to the states and put it to the ballot. Let the voters of the states. And I would like to see the governor, because look, let's face it, he did get into a bit of a situation with with the 6-week provision in Florida. And when I speak to Floridians here, they all said, look, put it to us, put it to the voters. And if the voters on a ballot referendum want 6 weeks, there it is. And I think that's the most constitutional and politically, strategically smart way to go. Put it to the states and let the states put it to the voters on the ballot. There it is. End of story. And that way, because look, this should not be an issue decided solely by politicians when there's so much public passion about it. But I will say this, as somebody also Catholic, Stefan, 12 years of Catholic school, the Catholic Church has been incredibly disappointing on this issue. I mean, they used to lead, and now what they've done is they've defrocked a guy like Father Frank Pavone, who's a wonderful guy who's done more for the pro-life movement than maybe anybody. And what did they do? They defrocked him because this current pope is a far left radical. And so the institutions, like you say, I mean, we weren't ready. The pro-life movement wasn't ready to go state by state. I don't think they were ready at all when you've got institutions like the Catholic Church being punitive against pro-life priests. And so really, I don't know where any politician can go except to kick this back to the states and encourage it to be put on the ballot.
Yeah, and that's the very same position of Vivek Ramaswamy. Whenever he's asked this question, he's very consistent in his faith and the beliefs. He is very pro-life, but from a perspective of our Constitution, that it is a decision that is not found in the Constitution, and it should be determined on a state-by-state basis. And so Vivek is very strongly pro-life. He talks about his passion for that. He is a pro-family perspective when it comes to his candidacy for the President of the United States. His wife, Dr. Apoorva Ramaswamy, they're raising 2 young boys. And look, and Jenna, you and I talked, me personally, from a personal, level, and I'll step out of this, deputy comms director for Vivek Ramaswamy box, and now I'll speak as Stefan Mychajliw, the conservative Republican Catholic. We have to fight the good fight at the ground level, literally. And that's why I join on a regular basis a lot of prayer warriors when it comes to the 40 Days for Life anti-abortion movement here in Buffalo. I'll pray regularly outside of abortion clinics. I know our diocese, at least in the city of Buffalo, they are fighting the good fight when it comes to protecting life. They have what's called, the St. Gianna Mala Center, where they actually will go and counsel women who are being told, abort that child, do not have that baby. And they will step in and provide comfort and support and literally life-saving necessities while the woman is pregnant and long after she has that baby. So at least in our neck of the woods, our diocese is really walking the walk when it comes to protecting life and supporting women. And Vivek says, look, there's got to be a role for men as well, that men need to step up and have a responsibility when it comes to the pro-life movement as well. But when it comes to his philosophy as president of the United States, it's a constitutional issue that should be decided at the state level, not at the federal level.
Well, and I think, that both of you are correct in terms of, this being decided by the voters. And I think there is a 14th Amendment argument that we could at least codify some restrictions at the federal level. And whether or not that issue is raised tonight, what I think I would love to see from both Vivek and Ron DeSantis, who both are Catholics, I am a Christian, is to say, listen, where are the churches here? Because if you are relying just on politicians to get this done, then you've already lost the battle. What about the culture, and what about influencing the culture with faith, and actually bring faith into the conversation and bring the failures of the churches into the conversations? And my little puppies, you might hear in the background, agree with me clearly because they're accolading that. But in just the last 2 minutes I have with both of you here as well, there is a perception, unfortunately, that Donald Trump kind of has run away with this. And a lot of the influencers on social media are saying, cancel the primaries, totally ridiculous kind of commentary. But what do each Vivek and DeSantis need to do to counter that perception tonight to the voters?
Well, I'll start and just say it's very simple. I use that data and information when it comes to Rick Santorum in 2012, 3 weeks ago for the Iowa caucus, was at 5% in the polls. And if you took that data and information 3 weeks before that caucus and said, look, this guy doesn't have a snowball's chance, drop out, don't waste your time. And lo and behold, who won the Iowa caucus in 2012? Rick Santorum. People could have said the same thing about Ben Carson in 2016 and looked at the polls at a snapshot in time and says, Ben Carson's walking away with this. You know what? Shut down the Iowa caucus. Ben Carson's going to win it. Forget every other candidate. And of course, that didn't happen. Ted Cruz won the Iowa caucus in 2016. So there's a lot of runway left for candidates like Vivek Ramaswamy to invest in Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and win this race. And he's in this race to win it, to run for president of the United States right now. So I think the most important thing to do is just focus on the issues that matter to people. And that's what Vivek Ramaswamy is going to do in all those states that we mentioned, Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and make his case to the American people that he's not running against Donald Trump. He's not running against Ron DeSantis. Vivek says he's running for the American people. And I feel as though that America First message will resonate with all of those voters in all of those different states, Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, in the days and weeks leading up to those contests.
So I'll make it even simpler. Yeah, I'll use a primary analogy, but it won't be GOP. 2008, Hillary Hillary was the heir apparent. They wanted a coronation. Why is this kind of awkward guy with a weird sounding name even running against Queen Hillary? She's going to be the nominee. That's established. Why are we even having this primary? And look how that turned out. And so I look at this primary much like that one.
That's a really good point. That is a really good point, because I was focusing on our GOP side of the aisle, and yeah, that's very valid. Like, people back then could have said, it's over. Hillary's going to be the queen and the nominee, and we're done and pack it up. I think it's a disservice to every single Republican to say, well, let's cancel all of these primaries. There's going to be, one person who's going to be the nominee, and that's it. I think it's a slap of face to every voters.
It's insulting. I'm with you. It's insulting to the voters. Yeah, it's insulting to Trump.
Even Eric Trump today just tweeted on this day 7 years ago, the New York Times prediction, and I think it was Huffington Post, was saying that Donald Trump had like a 1.6% chance of winning in 2016. And I was like, isn't this kind of proving the point that other candidates absolutely can still win the primary? And I thought that was interesting that he tweeted that out, but it is a really good point. So closing thoughts then from both of you in terms of what we can expect tonight, beyond what we've talked about already, obviously foreign policy, abortion, the Trump factor, all of that. What is, I guess, one other thing that you hope that your candidate will say that will really be a good messaging point? Because I think a lot of people just look at the highlights, frankly, instead of watching the full debate, because so many people are so online on social media. So what is the one thing that Vivek and DeSantis really need to say to kind of jump ahead? And Stefan, we'll start with you.
I think it's really simple. Stick to the message of being a business owner and political outsider, and the fact that we cannot have a warmonger as commander in chief. And I think our respective campaigns for the candidate that John supports knows that candidate is Nikki Haley. And that at all costs, the same respect that Chris Christie's talking about Donald Trump and never letting him near the White House again. I think the one consistent theme for all of the candidates on the stage is to make sure that a warmonger like Nikki Haley never sees the White House. Because if you think the Biden family is corrupt and making money from their public service, you just wait until Nikki Haley enters the White House. So she's already made $8 million from defense contractors and things of that nature. But from Vivek Ramaswamy's perspective, it's just making sure that people know that he's going to be an America first president, and no to the neocons who want to drive us to war to line their pockets. Business owner, political outsider. It's a very simple America first message.
For me, it's a little more simple, right? I've always said that Ted Cruz was far and away the more academically gifted and politically intelligent guy in the 2016 primary, but he spoke in 4-point font while Donald Trump spoke in coloring book. And I think Ron DeSantis needs to simplify his message, make it a little more folksy, emulate more of the George W. Bush, the Bill Clinton folksy style of speaking. He's a relatively small town guy from central Northwest Florida. He really did grow up a middle-class American kid, unlike Trump, who literally grew up in gilded rooms with his family's name emblazoned on the side of everything. And I would like to see DeSantis connect a bit more emotionally with the voter. And again, I think the one thing we can all count on, all three of us here will agree, we're going to be incredibly frustrated with the moderators that NBC sends out there. They're going to be just cheering on neocon Nikki, just dying for the it bleeds, it leads stories. And I'll close with my second set of condolences for Stefan. I didn't know he was in Buffalo. So he's got to live with Kathy Hochul and 9 feet of snow. So
and a Bills fan.
Well, there you go. You know what I would love to see, and Ronna McDaniel won't approve, but really who cares, is to have Ron DeSantis go on Vivek's podcast. I would love to see that conversation. So, that's my one wish. I doubt that'll happen. But gentlemen, thanks so much for your time, and really appreciate it. And I hope that the American public does tune in tonight to the debate, because it is important to hear what each of these candidates have to say. This is our country on the line. And so I really appreciate that all of us agree that we do need to put America first, and we need to make sure that we save our country from the radical Democrat extremist leftists. So thanks so much, guys.
Thanks, Jenna. Thanks, Stefan.
Amen. Thank you both.
Thanks. With inflation, the banking world collapse, and everything that Joe Biden is doing not to protect America, you need to make sure to secure your financial health, especially in retirement. And hey, if you're a millennial like me, that actually is sooner than you think. You need to start now, even if you are a millennial or a Gen Zer, to make sure that your financial health is actually healthy when we get to retirement. And Legacy Precious Metals has a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in gold and silver online in real time. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped right to your door. You'll have access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar, and this puts you in complete control of your money. The platform is free to sign up for. Visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and against a volatile stock market. A truly diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but different asset classes. This brand new platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Visit legacypm.com to get started. You can download the free investor's guide, and you can also call Legacy PM Investments to talk to a portfolio expert to get expert answers to your to customize your personal portfolio. So visit legacypminvestments.com to get started. Tell them that Jenna sent you. My friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help you get the best night's sleep of your life. He didn't stop at the pillow. Mike also created the Giza Dream bed sheets. I have them. I love them. These sheets look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep, which is crucial for our overall health. Mike found the world's best cotton called Giza. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable. Mike's latest deal is the sale of the year. For a limited time, you will receive 50% off the Giza Dream Sheets marketing prices, down as low as $29.98, depending on the size. So go to mypillow.com and click on the radio podcast square and use promo code Jenna, Jenna. There, you'll find not only this amazing offer, but also deep discounts on all MyPillow products, including the MyPillow 2.0 mattress topper, MyPillow kitchen towel sets, and so much more. I have all of this. I love it. Everything from MyPillow and also mystore.com. You can use promo code Jenna. So go to mypillow.com, use the promo code Jenna, and also mystore.com. And remember, use the promo code Jenna.